Sportageous. Sport gets smarter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of another Sportageous video cast. And this is our new series where we will be talking to sports professionals from all over the sporting world on various numerous topics for you guys to have a listen and appreciate. Today, I have two really awesome guests with me, Adeolu Adediran and Musa Thompson, the founders of MAAT Sports. What is MAAT Sports, you ask? So I'll give you a very basic introduction and let them actually talk about it in detail. But essentially, MAAT Sports is a football management company based in the city of Oulu in Finland. And the company primarily focuses on building a personal brand image for footballers with a key focus on footballers from Africa. But they also have this unique twist to it where they try and make sure that they can develop the personal skills of footballers to enable them to grow and continue on with their lives outside of football as well. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have us here. We are pleased to be here.
Thank you very much as well.
Great. Look, I gave a bit of an introduction, but I want to hear it from you guys. The details about MAAT Sports. But before that, tell me a little bit about, your own stories. You're originally from Nigeria. You live in Finland. How'd you get to Finland? What sort of brought you there? And then slowly we'll move on to MAAT Sports. Happy for either of you to kick off.
So maybe I'll let Adeolu start.
Yeah, actually, I'm a Nigerian, but I moved to Finland in 2015 to come and study. And when I got to Finland in 2015, I think it was in autumn, that's September of 2015. So I moved straight to Oulu because I came here to study my master's. So that was how I found myself in Oulu. And so far, so good. I'm still studying at the moment because I'm still doing my PhD now at the moment. But aside the PhD thing, I'm still involved in MAAT Sports because sport has always been my passion. So, and when we were growing up in Nigeria, we supported a lot of local clubs in Nigeria, and sport is something that is synonymous with Nigerians. When you see Nigerians, they're always very passionate about football. Precisely. So, I felt, well, this is my passion, and I think, well, aside my doctoral studies, then I can still do something that is related to sport. So that's why I spoke to Musa, and we decided to found MAAT Sports.
Right. Over to you, Musa.
Yeah, well, it's for me, I equally am a Nigerian as well, and I moved to Finland in 2008. So this is my almost 12 years in Finland. And unlike Adeolu, I moved to a city called Rovaniemi, and I came in to do my undergraduate studies, which was my bachelor's in information technology in Rovaniemi. And as I always say, Rovaniemi for me was more or less like the end of the world because it's almost at the extreme end of Finland, and it's a country even when I came in September, I think it was plus 10, coming from a degree of a plus 30 in Nigeria. So it was a different scenario. It was a total different kind of environment for me as well. But as time goes on, I lived to enjoy my life out there in Rovaniemi, and I lived there for 6 years. And later on, I moved to the city of Oulu in 2014, where I eventually met Adeolu a year after. And then I came in here to do my master's in software systems and engineering. So I'm pretty much a technology guy in a way, but the truth behind me and the football and MAAT sport, it's basically that football has been my thing all along. Even moving to Finland, I moved in primarily as a student, but the only thing behind my back was to play football professionally, because that was what I believe I'm good at. That was what I believe that's the only thing I could ever do and be happy doing. So football has been my thing, and I started a professional football career in Rovaniemi, which never went well because I had an injury which I always call the beginning of the end of my football career. After a serious surgery, it never went back to normal again. And that was how I almost quit playing football then. And when I moved to Adeolu and I met Adeolu, and we had a discussion, we have this love for this thing, and we've understudied a lot of our situations that have happened between or among African footballers here in Finland. Then we came up with a solution to these problems that we've understood. And that's the reason why we have our MAAT Sports coming to life. And this is what MAAT Sport is out to do, to solve a particular problem that we have actually understood that African players are facing here in Finland.
It's really interesting because obviously, you know, you both are immigrants to Finland. You come from very different societies, and now you, as you touched on, Musa, you found this problem and you're trying to bring a solution to it. Where does the entrepreneurship or the entrepreneurial drive come from for both of you? And obviously, you've mentioned a little bit about the football side of things, Musa, but Adeolu, what about yourself and the football side and entrepreneurship and sort of bringing them together in, you know, a country that, sure, you know, you've both been in for a while, but still being immigrants to that country?
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy because aside studying my environmental engineering, which I'm doing at the moment, I took some diploma courses in entrepreneurial studies here in Finland also, and then it broadens my knowledge about what to do. And you know, when I was discussing with Musa, then you know we were able to it took us a while before we kick off, but we were able to own some things. We were able to discuss some things that, okay, how do we want to start this thing? So we decided to plan a lot. There was a lot of planning. So, and then I have to put my skills into play, couple with ease, because they used to say that 2 heads are better than 1. So, you know, sometimes we disagree, sometimes we, you know, agree on some things, and this is part of it. All we want to achieve is that why? Well, we want a very good management company that is going to be top notch. So that is the reason why. And also, you know, the thing is, you alone cannot be an island of knowledge. So, you know, you might be thinking in one direction, you know, but Musa might be thinking in the other. So you have to find a common ground, or probably things that you think is going to improve the company. So these are some of the things that, you know, that really helped us to form the company.
It's really interesting because, you know, obviously we are a young organization too at Sportageous, and we, as with myself and my other 2 co-founders, we come across, you know, similar dilemmas of where you have to find a common ground. And I think it only improves you as an individual. And like you said, not being able to sort of be that solo island of knowledge, you need to often fall back on your partner within the organization. So I think that's really, really, really interesting. And I can completely agree with it. And I'll pose the same question to you, Musa, but having perhaps been in Finland a little bit longer, tell me a bit about that immigrant story side of things and entrepreneurship.
Oh, in fairness, I just like I mentioned earlier, I came in 2008. And it was a different experience, totally. If I compare what my experience was as an immigrant in 2008 to what Adeolu's experience was in 2015, I think Adeolu did not have any experience that I had in those days, because we have actually faced a lot and they have come in to face less, if I will put it that way. But the truth is, Finland is a country that is gradually getting into flow with life together with immigrants in the system. So they are not really used to this. They are not really used to seeing a foreigner. In fairness, in 2009, I went to a town. It's not a city, a small town. And in 2009, people were coming out of their doors to see a Black man for the first time with amazement. And I felt like a star in this small little town. So this is in 2009, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So now, so it was a very difficult start for me in 2008, and for everybody that I knew that was with me around that period of time. People hardly speak English. So if you don't speak Finnish language, you hardly communicate as well. So these are extreme challenges. And when you now put this into the same sphere with trying to be an entrepreneur as a foreigner, it was almost impossible at that time, even though people were breaking grounds to achieve this success. But it was almost impossible. There were no what I would call a summit or seminars or this for entrepreneurs that foreigners can actually attend those days, unlike now. There is a lot of seminars, there is a lot of summits, there is a lot of events to increase the number of entrepreneurs in Finland amongst immigrants in today's world because they can be presented in English. But in those days, there was not such things. It's almost impossible. If you have to attend those kind of seminars, you have to be fluent in speaking Finnish. You have to understand, you have to be able to speak. So having an entrepreneurial mindset in 2008, 2009, 2010 in Finland for an immigrant was pretty much, I would say, 90% impossible. I would not say totally impossible, but 90% impossible. But from my own perspective, I've had this entrepreneurial mindset from day one. I always see myself as a CEO from day one. That's what I want to do, even though I always tell people that whatever job I get, whatever employment I go into it to learn to be a boss. I don't go into it just to make money. I go into it to learn to be a boss. So from day one, I have this mentality, and I learn from it for every time I'm into it. So going into our own MAAT Sport as a company, I've gone through a lot of employment myself to actually prepare me for these events. And also it becomes a lot more easier for us these days because of course Finland is more open in 2020 than we are now, that things are much easier for foreigners to be an entrepreneur. Here you can use English on a daily basis now. You can have English brochures everywhere you go to learn what to do and how to do what to do. So it's a lot easier for us to achieve this company now. But the most important thing that I will say about entrepreneur here in Finland amongst the immigrants is you have to know where you stand as a foreigner in Finland. You have to accept that. You have to be very clear on what you want to do, and then people will accept you for this. And this is the part that MAAT Sport have totally worked on, and that's why MAAT Sport can be anywhere, everywhere in Finland and even around the world now.
That's really, it's fascinating that, you bring that up, because having looked at your story and heard a bit about it from you before this, that an element of what you've just said, Musa, ties into the ethos of what MAAT Sports is and what you guys do in terms of supporting, developing, and providing African footballers with avenues to play the game and more. So could you break that down for me? Perhaps maybe with what each of your roles are in the organization and how you tie that in with the immigration story and the story of an immigrant that we just discussed.
Okay, well, I think I'll go first with this one, so I will let Adeolu comes afterwards, because then I can just move on with the flow from where I stopped. So for my own role here in MAAT Sport, it's primarily to deal with the athletes, to look into the athletes' life, to prepare the athletes, to probably even give them some sort of a lesson on how to integrate in the system. Because we have lived in the system much longer than any athlete that is coming in now. So whether they like it or not, they are prone to learn from us. And we know the rudiment of the system, how it works. So from the athlete's perspective, my role is to make sure that every of the athletes under MAAT Sports learn the basic principles of professionalism in Finland and in the rest of the world. Because this is one key problem that MAAT Sports saw amongst the foreign, don't actually let me say only African players, amongst the foreign players generally in Finland.
Mhm.
This is one of the key problems. They get into a system, they found a contract, and mind you, when you get a contract in Finland as a football player, that is like breaking a solid ground in your career, because it's not the easiest place to win a contract. So when you win one, you feel like you've arrived. So we try to change this perspective that Finland can be a land of where you think you have arrived, but no, it's a land where we think is a starting point in your career. So these are the points that we are working on. This is my own area in this, at MAAT Sports. And I will leave it here for now and let Adeolu talk about his own area.
Yeah, as Musa said, my own aspect has to do with the branding, because we are looking beyond just sport. Like, for instance, the thing is, I've always made this example. When you look at David Beckham, for example, David Beckham was a brand himself when he was playing. Even after he finished playing, he's still a brand. So that is actually what we are trying to replicate, so that we make these footballers a brand. And one of the things is that it goes beyond you just posting your pictures on social media, just putting things on all these social media. But we have a platform whereby we are going to promote you, so that you have the visibility. And also, not only that, we'll make you, I don't want to say we package you, so that and also, not coupled with that, also we can always look for endorsement for you, because here in Finland also we have a lot of companies that you can be a brand for. Like, they might not be as big as Adidas, Nike, all these companies like that, but we can still get something for you, so that the thing is, you make something apart from the football you are playing. You be a brand yourself, you make some money from endorsement. And that's this kind of aspect we are looking at also, so that it's not going to be like, okay, after finished playing, people don't even hear about you anymore. That's the difference between some players nowadays. They are not relevant anymore. People don't even hear about them. But there are still some players that you still hear about them, and that's an example of the Beckham I talked about. So this is another aspect of MAAT Sport that we are looking at, so that we brand you and get endorsement deals for you, and so that even after stop playing, after your post career, you can always be a brand and get something out of that also.
That's
And meanwhile, before you move on, Zushan, in addition to what actually Adeolu said, from my own experience, because I said earlier that I played football in 2009. I started professional football here, and injury cut it short. And one of the things why we're working on branding also is to make sure that all of our athletes, all of our clients are not afraid of retirement. Because football or whatever sports, of course, everybody wants to play it to the peak of it. But nobody actually knows when one out of the 100 injuries that stops a career or that cuts short a career really happens. So we want to have athletes that are well branded in every area of their lives, that wakes up and says that, okay, if this career ends today, I'm not afraid of retirement. And this is also coming from my own experience, because when it happens to me that I had this injury in 2009, and I had this surgery that I was out for 6 months, and I came back after 6 months, but was never the same. If education wasn't there for me, I probably wouldn't be on this video call anymore. I probably would have returned to Nigeria, because there would definitely be nothing for me doing in Finland at that point. So that gives me a leverage. Education gives me a leverage to remain in the system. And that education has now given me the leverage to even start something in the tune of making even people that will be coming behind or working with MAAT Sports benefits from these experiences through branding.
So what are some of the ways that you achieve both of these outcomes? I mean, that's what I'm interested in understanding. So let's take, branding, but then also setting them up for the future. What are some of the things that you do, or if you want to share some examples with the players that you currently work with, just so, our viewers can get a sense of what that exactly is and what it essentially means.
Musa, are you gonna go first?
Well, it's it's a whole lot of thing actually here. When we talk about branding in our own area of understanding with what we want to do with the players, actually we want to get into all of our athletes' head, Africans. So we know that there is a problem somewhere in getting into their heads. And this is the first stage of any African, or this is the first stage to deal with any African player if you want to get a success from any African player. The head is filled with a whole lot of aspiration, dreams. And a bit of that dreams coming to reality affects the future of this career. And this is why you'll see a footballer, an African footballer, who made a good 2 seasons, good 3 seasons, and then subsequent seasons, it's nothing to write home about. Because this bit of success goes into the head and eventually affects the performance after 2-3 seasons. I have a lot of examples to back this up anyway. But the truth here is that our own part of our branding is to make sure that every of our players, I don't like using the word players, every of our athletes or clients gets to understand the principles and the basics of life as a football player. 20% of everything you do, every of your success is on the field of play. 80% is outside that field of play. So that 80% is what we want to work on. We want to change their mindset. We want to let them understand that whatever success you are driving at now, or whatever success you are achieving now, is a tip of the iceberg compared to what we believe that you are going. And from the perspective of branding, for surely, if they understand what we are working through with them, then they will know for a certain that they are not just a player by name, but they are a brand that people should actually reckon with, not just as a football player on the field, but as a name standing that everybody wants to reckon with, just as Adeolu used an example of David Beckham the previous time. So this is what we want to do. We want to have a full package of this footballer on and off the pitch. And this is what African footballers and a lot of foreign footballers in Finland that we are living today doesn't really have.
Yeah, if I may add something to what Musa just said. The thing is, most of these companies don't want to identify with an athlete that doesn't have a good character or an attitude. So these are some of the things we are doing because, like, for instance, if you have a big company that you're a brand or made an endorsement with, and you don't have a very good character, then it's going to soil the name of that company. So these are some of the things that we are doing in MAAT Sports so that we'll be able to mold them that, okay, fine, it goes beyond you just playing on the pitch. Then you have to have a very good character and attitude before you could get a very good endorsement. Because one thing is that whenever they mention your name, they're going to identify with that company. So then if you have a very bad attitude, then it's going to affect you. Are you getting? So these are some of the things that we do at MAAT Sports. We try to mold them so that, if there is any part of the attitude or character that needs to be molded, then we can help them do that. And these are some of the things that we do in MAAT Sports also.
Could you just, I guess, to expand on that a bit, could you also tell me a little bit about the players, or as you said, Musa, you don't like calling them, let's refer to them as your clients or athletes, the athletes that you're working with at the moment, and maybe very briefly a little bit about their stories and what you've been able to do with them, just in a summarized version.
Okay. Well, actually, we have a couple of them now, and most of them are actually they were friends earlier, and since we've moved to MAAT Sports, they've become even our clients or our athletes. So I will look at them first from the perspective of friendship, then now as a perspective of clients. As a perspective of a friend, 2, 3, 4 years ago, They were just players who wants to play, gets salary, post their things on social media, and that's it. Believing that that's all about it. And then now that we became like they are our clients and we are into business together, there is a different thing entirely. Now they represent something that is bigger than just I don't want to mention any of our players' name actually here, but it's usually coming into my head to mention names, but I don't want to put out any names here at the moment. But it's becoming something for them that they know that we are under certain restriction with these agents. We are under certain restriction with this company. We have to behave this manner because we are not just a player anymore. We are a brand. And this is giving us a leverage in their performance because it's helping them think the way they should think professionally. For example, I was talking with one of our clients who is in another city here in Finland yesterday in Tampere. And it was asking me that, okay, what do I think if I even think of going to Asia to play football? And I was like, well, that's a very good move if it's all about making money. But if it's all about keeping a brand that will still be beneficiary to you, then we have to keep the football within the European system. Okay, I'm making use of this example because if it was a friendship rating, first of all, it wouldn't have come to me to ask to talk about something like that. And then it would have just planned its move to Asia on its own, not minding what's going to come out of it. So the relationship between us and all our clients now, it's totally professional. And we are making sure that they are seeing themselves as what we see them as, which is the brand which they are. And through this brand, they are beginning to realize also themselves that they can make a better life from what they are doing as a footballer. If that answers your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And just in conclusion, before we end, what can we expect from MAAT Sports and what do you guys sort of envision for the future?
Adeolu.
Yeah, actually, we have a lot of plans. We have a lot. And the thing is, we are trying to expand we are trying to expand a lot. And so far so good. We have a lot of clients at the moment, and also we are trying to incorporate a lot of things like into MAAT Sports, coupled with branding and all these player thing we are doing. And also because we have a lot of contacts even from Nigeria. Most of the people said, okay, fine, we want you to help us do this, we want you to help us do that. So now we have a lot of plans and we have been deliberating a lot on how we tend to expand so that we'll be able to incorporate those things into MAAT Sport. At the moment, we have quite a number of clients and we are still hoping that a lot of people will join. And, we have good how will I say, report already, and most of the people that we work with, they can testify to that. And but there's still room for improvement, anyways, because we are just starting, and we cannot really say we have gotten there yet. And also, coupled with that, also we've been talking with many companies here in Finland because being a foreigner, you have to go extra length just to prove to them that okay, you are for real. And we've been talking to a couple of them. When we started, it was a bit difficult, but over time now, most of them they have been getting a very positive response, and we intend to build on that so that we'll get a lot of endorsement for our clients, and also make them a brand that we are expecting them to be.
Right. Well, look, I wish you guys all the best in the future. Looking forward to the successes of MAAT Sports. For our viewers, you can head on over, whether you're on the website, you're on YouTube, you will be able to check out all of MAAT Sports socials. Follow them, check out what they're doing, stay in tune with all the exciting work that they will be doing with footballers, with players, athletes, clients. whatever so you may call them, but the work that they're doing is important and great. So stay tuned. And thanks a lot, guys, for coming on and chatting with us at Sportageous.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure to be here. And if I will add something on a final note before we go, I always say this every time I talk about MAAT Sports. MAAT Sports, it's our dream is to be a football management company that every athlete, not even footballers only, every athlete on the surface of the earth will want to associate themselves with, because we are building a platform that is mainly on values. And that's what our goal is. And hopefully that's what people will continue to get from us as MAAT Sports.
Well, you heard it here, everyone. MAAT Sports is going to be taking over. So stay tuned and keep an eye out for what happens. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.